I'm Kris Barney, and I'm thrilled to have you here with me. Today I'm going to be discussing a topic that I've talked about before, but it's one that just lives deep in my heart, and I love it. I'm going to be teaching today on Become Unstoppable through declarations. Declarations are huge. In fact, you can see I have my little whiteboard, and we have declarations written up there. I want to teach you a few different concepts with this, but I want it to live deep within your heart. I want you to see why it's so important. So I want to begin this whole time that we have together with a couple of comparisons. I want you to think about resolutions. To make a resolution, it is to make a resolve that you want to change something. So a lot of times we get to the new year, we make these resolutions, and if you think about it, many of those resolutions are the same ones you had last year, or maybe the year before, or even the year before that, right? So are you really resolving anything? Just a thought. I just want you to think about that. When we make a resolution, yeah, that's better than nothing. But isn't it more powerful if we declare it? If we have a declaration where we declare what we want, declare how we're going to get it, declare how that's going to look, right? Let's talk about affirmations. So for many years, in fact, many years ago, we heard about this phenomenal thing called The Secret. And it all became affirmations. Everybody was making affirmations, and we're going to have these affirmations to change our life. One of my affirmations that I used for a lot of years was, I'm losing weight and feeling great, and I gratefully acknowledge and accept this now. Well, it didn't really work. Yes, it was an affirmation. I was affirming what I wanted, but I didn't have the belief. I didn't believe I was losing weight. I didn't believe I felt good or looked great. And with that affirmation, it wasn't followed by declaring it, right? I didn't declare I was going to be. I was just saying this cutesy little thing and hoping it would happen. Affirming that I wanted it, not declaring that I wanted it, and not as powerful. So you've probably heard me before, and if not, there are videos out there where I say, you know, affirmations, declarations, resolutions, declarations, what's more powerful? Well, I honestly believe declarations are your most powerful. Declarations are you declaring what you want, how you want it, in first person, as if it's already happened, and believable. It has to be believable. So we're going to talk about all those different aspects. But I want to just, you know, we talk about the Declaration of Independence. For a lot of you, I want you to think about this. Did we call it the Affirmation of Independence? Did we call it the Resolution of Independence? No, it's a declaration. We declared our freedom. We declared what we wanted in those. We wrote it as if it's happened and that it was there. 241 years we've been celebrating on July 4th, the Declaration of Independence, our freedom. And yet it wasn't declared before the war started. It wasn't, you know, that's not what we celebrate. We don't celebrate the day it ended. We celebrate the day it was declared. So I want you to think how powerful that is. If we celebrate the day it's declared and we move forward in a way that we are honestly complete with it, right? Then it must be pretty important. Declarations are very powerful. So one of the first things that you have to make sure you're doing is in first person. I. It's me, right? It's not everybody else is going to change or whatever everybody else is going to do, right? So I want to tell you a way that you can start how you say it. And to do that, we're going to use this whiteboard. The first one is easy, and I know all of you know it. It's I am. I am what? I am powerful. I am inspiring. What is it? I have said for a lot of years, and I'm actually going to make this smaller because I've got to get 11 of them on this board that you can see. So one that I have been saying for a long time is, I am a beautiful, passionate, inspirational woman of light. The reason I started saying that one is because for a lot of years, I didn't believe I was beautiful or passionate or inspirational. And I had to really convince myself, right? So I had to use the I am. I had to be strong and powerful in saying that declaration. I still say that one today. It's still part of my declarations that I say 3 times a day. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but you do need to be doing your declarations 3 times a day, either saying, hearing, or reading them. That's first thing in the morning, sometime during the day, and then last thing before you go to bed. That's the 3 times, and we'll talk a little more about that. But the first one is I am. The second one is I create. What are you creating? I create happiness. I create loyalty. I create what? What are you creating? What are you about? What do you want to change in this world? How do you want to do that, and how does that look? Now, these are just 11 different ways that you can start your declaration and how it's said. You want it in first person. You want it to be as if it's already happened, and you want all positive language. So no don'ts, like I don't want this. You want all of it to be positive. The third one is I release. So for me, I release 20 pounds. I release 3% body fat. I release the belief of what? What are you letting go? What are you releasing? We talk a lot about losing weight at the first of the year in our resolutions. That's a very common, if not the most common one, is losing weight and exercising. So if that's what it's going to be, I release what? What are you letting go of? What are you making room for? And how does that look? Because when we say we lose something, we want to find it. And that is not what we want to do with our declarations. So I release what? What does that look like for you? The next one is I inspire. I love inspiration, and you heard me say in my declaration, beautiful, passionate, inspirational woman of light, right? I inspire others to be their best self. That is what I say every day. I inspire others to be their best self. Now, that can be looked at 100 different ways of what I'm trying to inspire in other people, but I want them to be the best that they can be and to achieve what they want, to be the most successful, right? So that's how I say that. The next one is I love. Now, this can be I love my family. I love the way I connect with others. I love what? What is that for you? What do you love? Do you love animals? Next one is I trust. I trust what? I trust that the universe will provide. I trust what? What does that look like for you? How does that live for you in a way that inspires you to go to the next level? The next one is I know. I know what? I know how important it is. I know, what is that? For me, I know of my superior being. I know of my God. I know of my religious beliefs, my conviction. What is that for you? How does that live for you? I know what? It doesn't have to be religious. It doesn't have to be spiritual at all. It can be, I know this is coming. I know I am creating 6 figures this year. I know I'm creating $1 million in my business. What is it? I know what? The next one is I believe. I know and I believe could probably interchange with a lot of things. I know and I believe could be similar. So could I love and I am, right? What this is it's giving you 11 different ways to start your sentence in first person as if it's already happened and in positive language. There's probably 100 other words you could use that would be very powerful. Use the words that live for you, but just make sure they aren't in ing, they aren't in past tense, in future tense. You don't want to I can, because that brings in resistance, because what else can get in the way? It's not declaring it, it's suggesting. This isn't suggestions, it's declarations. So we want to make sure that we're saying it the proper way. After I believe, it's I live. I live an abundant life. I live to create change for others. What does that mean for you? How does that live for you? The next one is one of my biggest ones, and it's I empower. I empower others to be their best self. Okay, I love empowerment. I love inspiration. That's what I'm all about. So those words live easily for me to create my declarations. My declaration is a whole page, and most of mine are written in paragraph form. So it will be a couple of different ways to start the sentence in a paragraph, so that I've got 4 or 5 paragraphs on my page. And that page lives for me. When I have created most of the things on there and there needs to be change, it's easy to stick a new sentence in there. It's very easy to update and create your declarations to be different. After I empower, it's I attract. One of my declarations is I attract clients to me. I attract clients to come to me so that I'm not having to go out there and search for clients and clientele, right? So let me tell you a story about I attract. This happened a while ago, and I was at a 2-day event. And at this event, the person next to me was like, hey, tell me about the program that you have with your husband and stuff. And so I told her kind of what was going on, this 8-week program that I do, seven steps, to change your life, and it's over 8 weeks, and you get to do some energy work with my husband and mentoring with me. And so I was telling her about this program, and after the event got over, someone who was sitting a row behind us came up and she says, I want that. I want what you were talking about. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'd never met her before. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, you were telling somebody about this 8-week program that you have. Now, keep in mind, this is a $1,500 program. Once in a while, once a year, I offer it for $1,000, but it's not just like $100. It's a pretty substantial commitment for someone to jump in and do this. Well, she wrote me a check right there, paid on the spot, full tuition for this 8-week course, and said, nope, that's my next step. And what I can tell you is I was saying I attract clients to me. I create change in people's lives. I love the clients that I have and the success that they're having. Those were all declarations that I was saying on a daily basis. And it was happening on a regular basis that clients would find me. Yes, I had to be at the event. Yes, I had to be talking to someone else about it. But I could tell you story after story after story of different experiences where this happened because I was willing to have declarations and willing to be committed 3 times a day. First thing in the morning, sometime during the day. Now when I say sometime during the day, that looks different for me. Sometimes I'm in my car, I have them on my visor. You pull the visor down in the driver's seat and I say my declarations at a stoplight. I also have them recorded on my phone. I didn't bring my phone down here. So just pick up your voice recorder, pick up your phone, and read them. Read them. Your own voice is your most believable voice. So record them in your voice and then listen to it. At night, last thing before you go to sleep, either listen to them from your phone or read them. Or just say them if you have them memorized. My husband memorized his, and he would use different voices and inflection, and all of that is created for you to get through the reticular activating system. So on that little, your security guard that says, nope, go away, I don't believe that. Okay, you got to get in through that. You've got to get in through that system in your own mind so that you believe it and that you create it to be. So this is the way you start them. You use several different words, and this isn't the only language that you can use, but you do need positive language and complete sentences with it being as if it's already happened and in your voice. It's got to be you. I help my clients with their resolutions, and when we write them down and when we work on them, most of the time I'll say, okay, so I would say it like this, but what word lives for you? And I'll go through their declarations and be like, I would, cut this piece out. You don't need it. Sometimes we use too many words, and sometimes we repeat ourselves several times. Just because you say it 3 different ways, 3 different times in your declaration doesn't make it more powerful than just an I am statement that works. So keep that in mind. One of the next things I want to talk to you about is that for declarations, I came up with an acronym for the word declarations. And each of these letters stand for something different. And with me telling you that, I'm going to help you see through this acronym of how to do declarations, why to do declarations, and some of the details behind it. The first letter, the D, is decision. And I'm going to tell you, you have to decide that you want change. You have to decide that it's going to be different. So when we make a decision, we are more successful. I can't tell you how many clients, probably hundreds of clients that I've worked with, that we get right down to the nitty-gritty and I'm like, you have got to decide that you want it to be different. Okay, you've got to make that decision. Until you make the decision that you want change, it won't happen. And the declarations are the same. You've got to make the decision. You have to decide that you want it to be different, you're dedicated to do it, and that you want change to happen. So that's the first one. The second one is evaluate. For declarations to be meaningful, for them to work for you, you've got to evaluate where you are, where you want to be, and what's lacking. If you don't evaluate it, it's like taking a test. If you don't know what the question is, you can't come up with the right answer, right? And if you don't know the answer because you can't come up with the question, then we're in limbo. So we need to evaluate exactly what we want in our life. How does that look? What is the next step for me? And for a lot of people, they're like, oh, I'm going to do this grand plan, right? Well, I'm an advocate of start with 90 days and break that down into where are you in 30 days? Where are you in 60 days? Where are you in 90 days? I think you need a whole year plan. I think you need a 5-year plan. I think you need a 10-year plan, right? But for you to do declarations, there are very few things that are forever principles or forever. Like I love my forever family. That's always in my declaration because it's eternal, but I want it to stay solidified in my life. So there are some of those things, but you need to evaluate where do you need to work? What do you want to accomplish? What's next? And when you can evaluate, you can create a plan. After evaluate, we're going to be consistent. Consistency is key. When you say your declarations 3 times a day, that's consistent. When you're doing it 21 times a week, you have consistent success. When you're not saying them, you're not doing them, you're not paying that much attention, it's kind of hit and miss, your consistency goes out the window. So does your success. And that's a principle that doesn't change. So always be thinking of consistent. The next one is loyal. You've got to have loyalty to your beliefs. If it doesn't live for you in your beliefs, it won't live for you in your declarations. If you are creating the resistance in your belief system versus what you're going to accomplish, then it will never happen. So you've got to be loyal to your beliefs, and you've got to be accountable. Being accountable, whether that's an accountability partner, whether that's, having someone you're answering to, being accountable will create a way for you to be more successful with your declarations. I had an accountability group where we got on the phone at 6 a.m. and we all said our declarations and we were accountable to each other. That helps a ton. I highly suggest an accountability partner where you can text or call and have that ability to work together to get farther. You need repetition. I'm like, am I spelling it right? Okay, repetition 3 times a day. That's consistent. Okay, consistent repetition. Every day you're saying them, you're doing them to be more successful. It has to be attainable. And what I mean by attainable is it can't be, we're going to do $1 million in my business this year, but you haven't been a 6-figure business. That's not attainable. You've got to make it attainable. If you're a 6-figure business now and you want to be a multiple 6-figure business, great. If you're a multiple 6-figure business and you want to take it over $1 million, great. That's attainable. You can hire the right help, right? And you can be more successful that way. But it needs to be attainable. It needs to be transforming or transformation. Declarations are created to create transformation in your life. So you want it to be something that's going to transform you into a better person, move you forward, have you be more successful, build on your relationships. You want it to be transformational for you in all areas of your life, not just money, not just better job. All areas, in relationships, in your health and well-being, in everything that you can possibly do, in your thought process, all of it. Your mind, everything's got to be transformational. You want to internalize it. Okay, and what I mean by internalize is when you have decided what your declarations are about, when you have written them, they've got to live for you. They have got to be deep in your heart. When you internalize them to where everything that you're about just spills out in your declarations, then you've internalized it. When you can read through it and be like, wow, that's me. That is me. That is who I am. That's what you want them to be, is when they're so internalized that they are created for you. The next one is opening the space. What I mean by opening the space is it has to live for you. You have to be willing to make room for it. You've got to open the space for change. So much of the time our life is so cluttered and so full, we don't have time, energy, or effort for anything else. You have to make room to let the declarations live. Sometimes that means organizing and letting go, getting rid of things to make room for it. Open the space up so that you have the room and the capacity to add to your life and to change that. And be nurturing through this process. When we think of nurturing, we think of moms loving us and making us better people, right? And dads and this family. Well, nurturing yourself and being willing to accept yourself and know that there's going to be peaks and valleys. Just because you're saying, I am all powerful, does not mean that nothing bad is going to happen. Be nurturing with yourself. Love yourself. Add self-care, self-love for you to improve you. That's a big, huge one. And the last but not least, and in all caps because I think it's one of the most important, is start. If you don't start, you get nowhere. Nothing happens if you're not willing to start. If you're not willing to jump in and take off and try something new and different, right? Nothing will happen if you don't start. And when you look at all these words that we just went through, okay, it's declarations. When you declare it, when you are all-powerful and you state it. For me, I stand both feet rooted into the ground. My body language is open, right? I'm not closed off and all those other things, right? Strong, powerful. Some people like a power stance, okay? Do what feels right for you. If a power stance works for you, have it. I like to stand solid and firm in my conviction. solid in knowing who I am. I love declarations. I love to be able to make a difference in people's lives. Again, if you're still here with me, I am Kris Barney, and my company is All Things Possible. I know all things are possible for you. I love to see the difference that's made in lives every day. I'm a speaker and trainer as well as an author, and I love being all of that. In being that and in being the true authentic self and my true authentic self, it has come from declarations. There was a time when I wasn't confident and I wasn't believing in myself or feeling that I empowered anyone. And when I felt that way, it was because I didn't have the belief in myself, and I didn't have declarations, and I didn't have empowerment. And now I'm able to empower thousands of people all the time. And I don't tell you that to be a pat on the back. I tell you that because you have the opportunity to empower yourself, to be your best self, to create change. And it starts with declarations. Declarations are so powerful. Thanks for being here with me. Visit me on my website. I have a gift there for you. It's my 7 traits that I teach all the time. It's a video series. So go to allthingspossible.biz. Again, allthingspossible.biz. And opt in to my free gift for you. It's the 7 video series of my 7 traits. They too will teach you other concepts and other skills so that your life can change. You can be your best self. You can have the most success in your life. And you can feel that you are an inspiration, that you're empowering others, that you're making your mark in this world, and that you too can be a creator of all the things that you want in your life. Thanks for being here with me, and I'll see you next time at All Things Possible. Bye-bye for now.